Hey you guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Liv. Now the big update I'll be covering today is blocking citizenship from non-citizen voter fraud. But before we get into those updates, I want to share with you a clip that really caught my attention. Most of you may have already heard about this or even seen it yourself. I have too, but I'm using this time to share my sentiment and perspective. And while you're here, I hope you consider subscribing to the channel. I want to discuss something that we as Americans need to pay close attention to. I'm about to share a clip of Jamie Han, a UCLA valedictorian who used her graduation speech to launch an anti Trump, anti ICE, and frankly, an anti American tirade. Listen closely here.
Which, as a first generation immigrant myself, and as a now citizen who has the privilege of not having to fear for my life every second of the day, and as a communication major of all things, preaching up here about the importance of using your education and using your voice. Excuse my language, but to that I say ICE and the Trump administration. To them, I say, go touch grass. Get a hobby. Find something, anything less embarrassing and pathetic to do with your life than going around on a psychotic power trip, terrorizing and tearing apart families of hardworking, law-abiding, tax-paying folks who want nothing more than to live their lives, to put food on the table, to feed their children the same way you do. Think on that.
Jamie spoke about being a first generation American and acknowledged the privilege and benefits of citizenship. But what I didn't hear her say was the privilege of being an American. My concern is too often I see immigrants and their children embracing the benefits of our nation while speaking openly against it. I highly doubt Jamie would ever criticize the president of China, their leaders, laws, or policies the way that she attacked ours. She studied communication and education she received from an American institution, and yet she uses that platform to tear down our president, our laws, and the very country that gave her these opportunities. As a generational lineage Black American, I found her remarks deeply offensive. They were not only disrespectful to my community, but also a direct threat to our democracy. Here in America, we the people vote on who we want in office, and Americans overwhelmingly chose President Donald J. Trump, his administrations, and his policies. I understand you have the right to disagree, but using our education system to spread anger and hateful rhetoric against our president is unacceptable. We as American patriots, and especially as lineage Black Americans, will not tolerate it. And let's be clear, Jamie Han and others like her only enjoy the privileges of birthright citizenship because of the sacrifices of foundational Black Americans. The 14th Amendment was written for us, for the descendants of enslaved Black Americans whose blood sealed that law. Her parents were born in China, and whether they entered this country by green card, naturalization, or other status is unclear. I understand Jamie was born here, and that immoral loophole is the only reason she has citizenship. This goes back to a major unjust mistake in U.S. history, the 1898 Wong Kim Ark case. But let's be clear, there is no Wong Kim Ark case without the Dred Scott case. Let me remind you, in Dred Scott versus Stanford 1857, the Supreme Court infamously ruled that Black Americans, enslaved or free, could never be U.S. citizens. Let me be perfectly clear, Dred Scott personally experienced chattel slavery. Look that up. That decision stripped my ancestors of any legal recognition or rights. That injustice led directly to the Civil War. It was out of that injustice and through the blood and sacrifice of enslaved Black Americans that the 14th Amendment was created. It was written to secure birthright citizenship specifically for us and our descendants. Yet, only decades later, in Wong Kim Ark case, a small group of judges twisted that amendment and extended it to the children of non citizens. At the time, Wong's parents were not U.S. citizens. They were subjects of China, and laws on the books barred them from ever becoming citizens. That is not my opinion. That is facts, straight from court records. That was a massive immoral mistake on their part. Hear me when I say only a small group of judges decided to extend birthright citizenship to him, something never intended by the framers of the 14th Amendment. Yet that ruling was made without a vote of Congress, without the states, and without the voice of the American people. It was judicial overreach that has haunted our nation ever since. We, the descendants of those the 14th Amendment was created for, should have had a voice. Foundational Black Americans are the rightful inheritors of that amendment, and yet our legacy has been undermined and corrupted. We are witnessing the aftermath. And yes, I believe my Heavenly Father is using Donald Trump and his administration to expose the injustice, abuse, exploitation, and corruption with the birthright citizenship. Now, fast forward to today. As of late August 2025, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, that's the USCIS, updated its policy manual to deny naturalization to the green card holders who illegally voted or even attempted to register. USCIS stated this demonstrates a failure to show good moral character. Those caught may also face deportation. These changes directly reflect directives from President Trump and DHS Secretary Noem to protect the integrity of our election and curb illegal voting. With that initiative, I truly believe we're moving forward as a country, not just in an effective way, but in a smart, efficient way. One of the first things to note, this policy now blocks non-citizens involved in voter fraud from ever getting U.S. citizenship, and it could also lead to much stricter immigration enforcement. Now, back in March 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14248, which now requires anyone registering to vote in federal election to show proof of U.S. citizenship. On top of that, states that don't comply could face penalties, and the orders also expand how elections and immigration systems share data. He's definitely facing some pushback. On April 24, 2025, federal judge Colin Collier Cotley, and just so you know, she is a first generation American, clock that.
A federal judge in Washington, D.C. blocked a push by the Trump administration for voters to show proof of citizenship on the federal voter registration form. This comes after President Trump signed an executive order in March that called for sweeping changes to American elections. For more, I'm joined.
She blocked key parts of this executive order. She threw out proof of citizenship requirement and the threat to withhold federal funding from states that didn't comply, saying it overstepped the authority of Congress and the states, and it went against the intent of the National Voter Registration Act. And that's exactly my argument about the Wong Kim Ark case. It overstepped the same authority and the intent of the 14th Amendment. It's cool when they do it, but it's a problem when we do it. Birds of the feather fly together. I digress. On January 20th, 2025, President Trump signed Executive Order 14160, aiming to change how birthright citizenship works under the 14th Amendment. The order could exclude children born in the U.S. to undocumented immigrants or people here on temporary status unless at least one parent is citizens or a lawful permanent resident. For the most part, that's fair. It was set to take effect 30 days after signing. The fight over EO 14160 is still ongoing. Multiple federal judges, including New Hampshire and Maryland, and even the Supreme Court have stepped in, issuing injunctions to block the order. They pointed to the constitutional protection under the 14th Amendment and long lasting precedent from the United States versus Juan King Art 1898. As of July 2025, EO 14160 is still blocked nationwide. But check this out. Despite the legal pushback and injunction, President Trump and his administration are moving forward with these updates, and they will be enforced. The policy changes targeting non-citizens involved in voter fraud are being implemented through USCIS, which is now denying naturalization to green card holders who illegally voted or even attempted to register. While courts have temporarily blocked certain executive orders like EO 14160 on birthright citizenship, the administration is actively enforcing the parts of the policies that remain within its authority, ensuring that these updates impact the intended areas of immigration and voter integrity. This is characteristics of a strong leader, taking decisive action to uphold the law and protect Americans when in face of opposition. When you choose leaders who allow wrongdoing to continue unchecked, they start to make wrong look right and even create laws to protect it. That's a colossal mistake. It's immoral and is proven to be dangerous. This is the fight we are in. It's why Americans, especially those of us with generational lineage in this country, must stand strong to protect our inheritance, our democracy, and our future. Remember, we are created to be the head, not the tail. My God's will shall be done, and I have complete faith in that. Now, if you found this informative, make sure to subscribe to the channel, tap the notification bell, and give this video a like and leave a comment. I'll see you in the next one.